Hey, Christine Faulkner, Elk Grove and Sacramento's Living Trust and Estate Lawyer with Cava&Faulkner. Thanks for tuning in for another edition of The Daily with Christine. And today we're talking about what is an estate planning attorney, why do you need one, and what are some of the things that you should think about when determining how much is a reasonable amount to pay. So I thought of doing this video because I saw a post on Facebook where we were recommended, and I went to that post and looked at the comments, and it was quite interesting. I saw a number of comments. So the post was, can anyone recommend a good estate lawyer? And there were several posts, probably 15 recommendations of different lawyers that they had worked with. Many people said, go to LegalZoom, do it yourself, in other words. And I was puzzled at the wide range in fees and also recommendations from people who said do it yourself. So the first thing that struck me was, how can you compare apples to apples? How do you know that the people responding are in the same situation as you? How do you know how simple or complicated their situation was, which might justify perhaps going to LegalZoom and doing it yourself versus working with an estate attorney or estate lawyer to really give you guidance because you have more significant assets or you have more complicated family issues going on. So an estate planning attorney is kind of just what it sounds like. It's an attorney who specializes in handling estate planning matters. One of the things that's really important to understand is that, estate planning attorneys are not necessarily probate attorneys. They don't necessarily go to court and handle probate matters. But they do have a primary goal of assisting a client to prepare for their end of life, to prepare for, transferring their assets in a very intentional way. And also, and this is where it's important to really craft and create the client's legacy. And legacy has far more to do with just money. It's not just the amount of money that you leave, but how you leave it, how intentionally you leave it. And especially if you have minor children or young kids, are you going to risk their development by not creating a plan and risking your children receiving your assets at a very young age, which could potentially delay their maturation process and really have a deep impact on the people that they become? So that is what an estate planning attorney is. They help, with not only legal documents. So I want to dispel the myth that lawyers who are estate planning attorneys just prepare documents. Indeed, no. If you just want documents, then definitely go to LegalZoom. Look at the drop-down menu and see and hope that you can, make the right choices. I've looked at a lot of reviews of LegalZoom online and talked to folks, and I've reviewed documents that were prepared with online document providers. And for people who come to me, many of them don't even know what they've created. So LegalZoom and online document providers definitely have a place for a proportion of folks. Whether or not you fit into that space is really a question for you to determine. But if you have assets, if you have children, and you want to be intentional about the legacy that you leave, you probably would want to work with an attorney who's not just going to prepare documents, but they're going to partner with you to, number one, understand your assets and your family and the dynamics in your family, but also your goals in terms of the kind of legacy that you want to leave, so that the attorney can work with you to carefully craft a plan that is going to have that legacy outcome that you're looking for. So not just a document producer, really important to think about that. So why else might you want to work with an attorney, and how much should it cost? So Some other reasons for working with an attorney is because, well, frankly, many people don't have the expertise or the breadth of understanding and experience to understand all of the different forces that come to bear in creating a quality estate plan. Um, and as I've always said, looking to work with an attorney who is not only going to give you time and their time and attention, specifically to you, to create a deep plan that serves you and your family well, but also because they don't have the distraction of having to learn about other aspects of the law and be up to speed on all of that, but can really focus their learning and their practice and hone their skills in one area, and that is estate planning. So when I looked at the comments about, how much does it cost, anywhere from, the comments I saw were anywhere from, LegalZoom, which is, I don't know, $79 to multiple thousands of dollars. And so I was doing some research online and looking to see, well, how much does the average family vacation cost? And in 2018, an average family vacation was $4,500. And I know for our family, we go on vacation usually every year and sometimes a couple of times a year. And so I'd ask you this. When thinking about how much you're willing to spend on a family vacation each and every year, would you be willing to invest at least that amount or more to create a plan that is going to not only distribute your assets to the people you love when you're gone, but do so in a very intentional way? Is it important to you to make sure that you have a plan in place so that your children are protected in the event that you cannot be there for them, and that you yourself are protected in the event of incapacity, and that you have chosen a path that gives you all of the control instead of the state, or in other words, a judge being able to decide for you? You've probably heard many, many horror stories of folks who either had no plan at all and whose families had to pay the price, or who did cheap planning and whose families ended up in court anyway. If you've ever known anyone who had that experience, they would be the first to tell you that the grief and financial burden that a lack of planning causes, or poor planning, is not worth the cost of paying dearly, in fact, paying well to work with a qualified and trusted estate planning attorney who is also going to work closely with you as an advisor to help you create a loving plan for the people who you love the most. So I'd like to close by saying this. Many times people who are middle-class folks need a really good estate plan far more than wealthy people who have a lot of money, because when it comes right down to it at the end, number one, if you have a poorly drafted plan, the thing about working with an estate planning attorney is that you are hopefully in good stead in having a really good solid plan, because once somebody passes away, it is too late. And if they have drafted a do-it-yourself plan or a cheap plan, once they've passed away, unfortunately, there's not any more time to fix it. The other thing is, many middle-class people will not have the funds to pay for probate, and it will really impact greatly your beneficiaries, who may have to dig into their own pockets, or maybe even sell a business to pay for the cost of probate, when keeping that business running would have been far better in the long run for your family. So just a couple of reasons why it is open for certainly consideration, why working with a well-qualified and well-respected estate planning attorney will serve both you and your client, you and your beneficiaries, your kids, well in the long term, and that maybe biting the bullet one time to create a plan and investing in this would be a really wise investment. So thanks for tuning in for another edition of Catching Up with Christine. If you like our content, subscribe to our channel. Like our videos when you like our content, comment, and I'm happy to reply and let us know what else you would like to hear about, and I'd be happy to produce that content for you. Take care and see you again soon. Bye-bye.